Hi Ed, hi Dave. Thank you for your time that you're giving us and giving our students. This is for a physical education and school sport module that our students are undertaking in their final year. Just as a useful starting point, Ed, if I start with you, I wonder if you can just give us some background to the company that you work for, who you are, your role, etc. within that company.
Yeah, no problem. So my name's Ed Timmons. I'm the manager of a Cornwall-based coaching company called DC Coaching Services. We work in an array of schools from sort of the Sen and Penzance, so as west Cornwall as you can possibly get, all the way up to schools in around sort of Liskeard and sort of branching just before the bridge. Yeah, as we'll get into more detail as to what we offer, but it's not just the school-based stuff. We're involved in a lot of partnership work and have a lot of good working relationships, Active Cornwall, trusts, MATs, and academies, alongside an array of different holiday camp provision as well. Once again, working with Active Cornwall. But yeah, my role is mainly managing everything, and Dave, my director, the other person's call, he is much more sort of involved with the funding bids, the financial side of things, the direction of funding projects, and then I tend to have to put those sort of implement them into a practical setting.
Excellent, thank you, Ed. That's a really nice overview. It sounds like you've got a lot of driving to do. You've obviously spoke about drawing down funding and bids, etc. So how do you approach a primary school or a MAT to offer your services to them? Kind of what might that look like from the beginning of approaching all the way through to establishing that strong relationship so you are ingrained within that particular school?
Do you want to go for this, Dave, or do you want me to?
Well, over the years, I generally start with just speaking to the head teacher and stuff and seeing what sort of direction they see where funding comes from, because usually generally funding goes to them, and then but each teacher and each head teacher has a different vision of how spending that money. And when we have a conversation, we talk about things we've done in the past and how it may look if they wanted us to come in. And it literally differs from school to school, from the schools that I've managed in the past and the schools that Ed's managed in the past. And they're all very different depending on what they want in a school. And as a company, we try and adapt to what they want. And I think that's what makes us, I'm always going to big us up, but I think we adapt well, and we hopefully keep them happy to what their vision is, where their funding want they want us to be spent on. I don't know if you guys add anything, Ed. Is that sort of?
No, I'd say spot on, Dave. Obviously, the funding stipulations for the school sports funding are quite vague. So head teachers and financial, like the finance managers or finance department of schools, they can exploit and use that funding in various ways. So yeah, Dave's spot on. Our sort of delivery and partnership work in schools can go from like CPD workshops with staff to intervention work with small target groups to work with children with additional needs, to enhancing their after-school club provision, to giving them structure during lunch times, to in-house competitions, to holiday camp provision. It really is it's quite a vast sort of funding sort of stipulation as such. So it's good. And as Dave said, every school's agreement and contract with us is totally different, none are the same. So it is more, as Dave said, just being very flexible, very open, and just being adaptable to try and tick all the boxes of what the school were looking for from us.
Excellent. Now, this is quite a competitive marketplace. There's lots of people out there who have the qualifications or want to go and deliver in school. So how do you build a new relationship? How do you identify that there might be a need in a school, and how do you kind of walk through that door to start that conversation with a school? Because like our students might be like, well, I don't even know where to begin because this company's here and this thing's over here. How would you kind of get a handle on that entire landscape in your area and then approach a school in the first place?
I mean, in the past, I think especially in Cornwall, I think we're very unique to any other area. And the reason I think the business has done so well, not just me in the last 4 or 5 years, has been Ed as well. So Ed has built relationships with schools and head teachers that may have been in the job but now are head teachers, and they sort of approach us or Ed, and it sort of goes from there. So I reckon 90% of our work has been sort of word of mouth, or someone with another school or another academy knowing, oh, we know this, we work well with this. And we've sort of got, I'd say, a majority of our work of sort of the relationships we built over the year, sort of 15 years, would you reckon? But we've got a lot of work because that someone knowing someone, and that's how it's sort of built quite quickly in the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
And even at the very beginning, Dave, you know, especially in Cornwall, but I say it's very consistent across any county or region. It's relationships and reputation as a person as well. Even though everyone goes in with branding on, most of the time it's a reflection on whoever's in there delivering or whoever's in there having meetings, discussing or having conversations with staff. It's about that trust from the school's point of view that having you in there is going to be of benefit to the children in the school. And as Dave said, you know, it's a big one for me. I bang onto my staff about all the time that reputation is massive. It takes months to build and seconds to lose. So it's that combination of, yeah, just, you know, keeping all aspects of everything you do as high as possible. Because as Dave says, you know, word of mouth, and especially now 99% of schools are in mats and academies and trusts. If you're doing a good job in one school, within, and we're in a perfect situation at the minute, Dave. We were in one school in a mat from September, and we're now in February, and we're in 13, Dave, right?
Yeah.
Which is obviously why we've now got to do this virtually, because we seem to pick up a new school every few days. So yeah, it's just word of mouth, doing a good job, and yeah, the sort of past relationships for me is crucial.
So you like reputation's king, right? Reputation's the best form of marketing, and it sounds like you built that. To build that, you obviously have to deliver a high quality product. So if we think about just the PE in school provision, what types of things do you, and I know you said it varies school to school, but what types of things do you typically do so schools trust that you're delivering high quality PE for them?
What I always tend to, you know, going back to the same thing, is work very closely with the schools and find out exactly what they want you to deliver. And then I always urge any tool to come and observe me. Send as many people out as you want, because, you know, yes, I've been in it a long time, but I'm very confident that I know what I'm doing. I'm very confident that I know I'm very do. But then again, that it hasn't come natural. I've had to work hard, like Dave has, you know, taking years to get to where I am. I'm always learning. Always magpieing off other coaches. I love working with new people. Always, you know, steal ideas of other people about things that work, things that didn't, and I love feedback as well. So, you know, Dave's undoubtedly the same. We've been to some schools; it's not always been plain sailing. Gone to some settings, and it hasn't necessarily gone as smooth as we wanted it to. But then you learn from it, and you take it on to the next one. So it's never a smooth journey. I would say there are some bumps along the road.
Yeah,
yeah. I would say that it's just encouraging schools to experience and to witness exactly what you're doing, because I'm sure you're more aware than mostly that primary school PE, sadly, in this day and age, is being shunted down the pecking order. Even though there's funding available to help enhance it in schools and promote it, some teachers do tend to neglect it or put it to the back of the priority list. So that's where we tend to come in quite handy, because it is the top for us, due to health and well-being of the kids as well.
I mean, I think with Ed, when we first started out, before he was with us, he's been with us nearly 2 years now. I think it was a joke about 5 years ago, but it took us a good 2.5 years to get him on board, because I know Ed's reputation, and I wanted to make sure that he had the opportunity to do what he wanted to do within the company, but make it grow at the same time. And he's very ambitious and very creative within his coaching, and his strengths are my weaknesses. So he's very organised, and I have to work really hard at that. I can talk for Britain, but I know what my weaknesses are, and bringing on Ed was, for me, the next step to grow the business. We're quite lucky we've got, my wife as well is quite organised as well. So having the right people in the right places is key as well. But I think, you know, it hasn't been an easy ride for me as well when I was younger, and, you know, there was many opportunities. I thought, oh, am I doing the right thing? Do I go and do something else? Because I was always self-employed, and having other jobs as well. But it was just, there's going to be times when you think, oh, you're just going to quit and do it. But hopefully with us building a business like it is now, it's giving young coaches the opportunity that I personally didn't have, and maybe Ed didn't have, or other coaches he knows that aren't doing it now, that probably would still be doing coaching as well. What do you think, Ed, on that?
Yeah, no, 100%. And to be fair, talking about, sort of making sure that you do the right things in schools, Lee, your initial question is, we pride ourselves that our consistency and quality of delivery is of the highest standards. But as Dave briefly touched upon, we've also got, and in sort of funded massively, having someone who in this day and age, the legality side of things is crucial, having everything above board in order to the highest standards. So Dave's wife is on board as a financial director, background she's a lawyer. So she makes sure, documentation wise, everything in that respect is of the highest standard. So schools can see that not only is our delivery fantastic, which I'd always ask them to come witness, but documentation, certification, everything in that respect also keeps the kids safe before even in there, and makes them feel that, the schools immediately got trust before they've even seen anyone, that they're in very safe hands with us as a company.
So Dave said that you're high quality, Ed, and let's just assume you are, because we've got no evidence, but I'm sure you have as a company. But obviously you employ coaches as well, so you can be high quality and you can lead a lot of this. Yeah. How do you ensure those kind of part-time or casual coaches are also delivering high quality provision for the schools that they are based in?
So what I've implemented with Dave's sort of authorization as we've expanded as a company is, obviously all staff will initially go through a 2-week induction or 2-week enrolment with us, whereby they will work with a variety of different sort of full-time / managerial style and standard members of staff. So they'll spend a couple of days with me, a couple of days with our assistant manager, then our after school club manager, our events coordinator, a couple of times with Dave, so that just like I was touching upon earlier, they can sort of magpie off different things that work for them, things that don't. Also allows us to constantly see them in a practical setting. We can provide them feedback. So that's done before they even go in schools independently, absolutely. And then once they're in schools independently, I get freed up on certain days per week to go and do quality assurance checks on all staff without letting them know I'm coming. And rightly or wrongly, I dig quite deep, as in I want to speak to the secretaries about what time they're signing in. I want to speak to the PE lead about what they've been covering, about the feedback, about the communication, about the supervision of the kids, about the enjoyment levels. And then I'll obviously go and see them in a practical setting, and that feedback at the end will not only be provided to the staff, but also be provided to the school, so they can see that we're then working with them quite closely. And from there, if there are gaps in anything, Lee, then we will, and Dave's a big one on this, if there's certain sort of areas of weakness or areas for improvement, we'll then signpost and offer CPD events. For example, myself, so I'm most certainly on the finished article. Dave sent me off to Wales for 2 days to go on a golf course. Not literally play a golf course, but on a golf instructor course, because that's becoming part of the curriculum, something I haven't done. So Dave was then implementing that, sent away for 2 days with another member of staff, and then we can offer that to a high standard. So yeah, CPD with staff, quality assurance checks, and communication and feedback from the schools and to the schools is crucial to make sure we're always delivering a high product.
Excellent. Thank you, Ed. Now, one of the things that you said earlier, which I think we know, but it's also concerning, is that PE is dropping down the priority list. So how do you work closely with staff within a school so they can see PE as being more important, or they can feel more confident to deliver or more skilled to deliver? Because obviously for a number of teachers, there's a fear of PE and sport. They haven't had experience, they haven't had training, they might not want to be involved. So how do you kind of overcome those barriers and support teachers so they can become more confident and more skilled to deliver PE themselves?
So one thing in particular we've sort of rolled out this year, Lee, and have done in the past, but it's becoming bigger and bigger and more popular with the more schools we get into, is we offer like a full-on CPD program with all their teaching staff and all support staff. So as part of that, yes, we charge them an X amount of money, but part of that money is we would get them sort of a discounted rate on a PE delivery platform, an online platform, very user-friendly, very nice and easy to use. And what we'll then do is, once we've got that, we'll do an in-house training event with the staff, and hold a staff meeting, and we'll talk them through the platform, how to use it, which also further down the line allows them to assess the children, which is obviously a massive Ofsted ticker, allows them to track and go through statistics for after-school club attendance, children with SEN that are representing the school, loads of different stats you can sort of create at the click of a mouse. But with regards to going back to it, with regards to that PE programme, we'll then roll out a 12-week programme with each member of staff. So depending on how big the school is, could be an afternoon if it's a small school of 2 classes, could be every afternoon if it's 2 formentary, or possibly more. And then from weeks 1 to 4 of the delivery, I or my member of staff would solely teach those PE lessons, those lesson plans, with the teachers out observing, taking notes, asking questions, getting involved if they want to, absolutely. So that's week 1 to 4. And then from week 7 to 8, we would then team teach it. So we'd have a quick meeting beforehand, we'd have a discussion about a lesson plan, and then we'd earmark certain bits that I hypothetically would run, and then areas that the teacher would run, or just work through it together, as in just, hypothetically, me and you, ironically, we could just work out, we're both going to do this, we'll work together, then you're going to talk about this, I'll talk about that. So it's just starting to gradually implement and involve them in a lesson. And then from weeks 9 to 12, that is when we would then do role reversal. So they would deliver, and I'd observe, ask questions about what they're doing, why they're doing it, and provide feedback at the end. And we tend to do that on 2, so obviously most sort of school sports are only delivered in 6-week blocks. So what that tends to include is they would highlight 2 school-based sports that they feel are their biggest weakness. Because you'd find most staff, even though some will neglect PE, most staff would shy away from, hypothetically, a dance or gymnastics or anything like that. And then we can work with them to improve their confidence, improve their subject knowledge, and also improve their delivery. And then they've actually personally delivered 3 to 4 weeks of that programme with feedback, with same thing, SLT coming and observing as well. So they then are happy that they can see their staff delivering to a high standard. We can sign them off. And then once again from there, Lee, if a staff member, without sounding ruthless, isn't getting to where we probably think they need to be, we can obviously speak to the SLT about possibly more funding, or funding just a couple of extra weeks. We can spend a bit more time with them. But yeah, that's been, especially recently, that's been a massive sort of, not a selling tool, but probably 80% of our work has been CPD workshops with staff, because that is one of the main sort of primary points of the funding stipulations, is to upskill staff.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think that professional development piece is really clear. I've got a question. You've started to answer it, but it's about the wider school sport offer. So that could be like after school clubs, that could be competitive or competitions, but that could also be that kind of broader inclusive bracket to try and pull more people into physical activity. Yeah. So we know there's government guidelines around how active children should be, and schools approach that in a variety of different ways. Yeah. What role do you play in all of that wider school sport stuff for children? Or are you kind of predominantly focused on PE curriculum? Kind of how spread are you across those 2 aspects?
I've got to be honest, as we touched upon earlier, we're massively adaptable. So once again, it would depend on what the school are requiring, or what sort of gaps we see based on conversations and what we've witnessed. So we offer an array of different things to help, tick boxes as such. I don't really like the phrase, but sadly in this day and age, Ofsted is a bit of a box ticking exercise, especially with sort of if they went and did a deep dive in PE. It's more about seeing statistics for this, information for that. So we work very closely, like we run sort of in-house festivals and competitions is a big one, and we can also gear and target them towards certain target groups. So hypothetically, it might be a girls only any sport, or it might be the school would highlight some vulnerable children. We can do like vulnerable work with kids as well. After school club provision wise, sort of bouncing around a bit, we obviously cover all the curricular based stuff that we've alluded to, but we are also one of the largest alternative sports providers in the county, if not the. So we cover, and something that can be done in school as well if schools wanted, but activities from laser tag to nerf games to kinball to archery to crossbows. What am I missing, Dave? Ultimate frisbee, virtual reality, bubble football. Literally anything and everything to try and encourage and inspire children to find something enjoyable that involves being active. And yeah, other than that, with regards to, the lunchtime clubs is a big one, because there should be some sort of structure in lunchtime clubs. So we try and you know, because yes, as I know you said that technically children should deliver or be part of 2 hours of physical activity in school per week. And with a tight PE timetable and schedule, finding 2 hours of PE a week is tight. So some schools use us to run sort of structured active lunchtime clubs for certain target groups. Others are breakfast clubs. I know we do one every day, don't we, Dave, at the secondary school, which massively. And yeah, I said the alternative sports coming into that, it just offers a school. It's just what we can offer the school as a whole. Pretty much whatever a school needs or wanted, we could absolutely do it. And for me, that's big. You know, even dance, which me and Dave would actively avoid. We've got a dance instructor that does all workshops. Yeah, we've got everything. We've got our survival. We even go as far as survival and bushcraft and forestry. We've got a survival expert who goes in and does, you know, sort of military days. Yeah, all sorts of weird and wonderful things, Lee, just to inspire kids to find something active that they enjoy.
Yeah, so yeah, you've got sports, but we're also thinking about just activities, physically active activities, which is really useful. I've got one final question, which is a really difficult one to kind of put you on the spot on to answer, but I'm also comfortable if there's anything else you want to talk about after, particularly around kind of recruitment into organisations such as yourself that might be useful for our students. But just in the most concise way you can, this is really difficult. What impact do you think you're having on young children in primary schools as a company? Bearing in mind other people could do this, or the teachers within the school can do this, but you're deliberately pushing yourself into this space. And I understand that there's a wider reason in terms of, you know, you're a company and there's those bits like you mentioned about financial and stuff. But what impact do you think you're having on young people by you existing in this space? Ed, if you're happy to go first.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's an easy one. It's like the impact is seeing children enjoy physical activity. That, you know, yes, ticking and hitting lesson objectives and being able to do this, that, and the other in a lesson is fantastic. But just seeing children come to a lesson or leave a lesson with a smile on their face, oozing enthusiasm, that's all I need personally. For me personally, professionally, see children enjoying being active. That's it. As in that is it. Yes, you know, results, everything will come hand in hand, but the most important thing is for children to enjoy being active. So for me, that's always my primary focus.
Excellent, thank you, Ed. And Dave, how about yourself?
I mean, over the years, I mean, some of the stuff that I'd say now, you know, the enjoyment sort of, you know, if you've got a class that are enjoying your lesson, it sort of inspires you to put more into your lesson and make changes. But even with all the activities we offer, even those children that don't take on off traditional sport, there's something out there for them. And then when they do something that's alternative and they didn't think they liked sport and they're like, oh, I love PE because they got this alternative activity, and hopefully inspire them to carry on doing physical activity is great. And Ed is all for pushing for this alternative purely for this reason of getting everyone involved and everyone finding some activity that they enjoy. So yeah, for me that is it. And I think we look at it, we go to head teachers like they're the customer, but if the kids love it, the feedback to the teachers, and they're really the customer. So for us, if they're enjoying it and the feedback's great from them, we're always going to get work and get business. And so yeah, from my point of view, it's great.
Yeah. So to sum it up, Lee, I would say, sorry, I know we've garbled a little bit, but inclusion, engagement, enjoyment would be the three big ones for me. If you can hit those three, you're on a win-win. Because as Dave said, if children are going away ticking those three boxes, or, you know, staff are seeing the children with you know, that hat trick of lesson objectives in PE, that's everything. Everything else will come hand in hand, but having those three is crucial.
Excellent, thank you very much. I'm finished for questions. If there's anything else that you would like to share, I know I briefly mentioned it might be something about recruitment or students kind of becoming employees in this sector at some point in the future, or anything else about your organisation or what you do. We can just leave it there for you, and then once you're finished, we'll wrap up the call.
I mean, for me, with recruitment, I like sort of being proactive. So like contacting me and Ed and going, look, I want to chat about what, you know, rather than seeing an advert and replying to that, I quite like people approaching us. That's how I got work, and, you know, sort of initiative sort of stuff is what I'm looking for. Yeah. I don't know if what you want to add with that.
No, I'd just say, yeah, sort of, yeah. I'd say you've hit the nail on the head, Dave. Really, we'd always encourage anyone that shows an interest in working in sport to just reach out to us. You know, we've got an array of different staff working in an array of different backgrounds, and yeah, anyone that's got a bit of enthusiasm, a bit of drive for inspiring children, then we'd absolutely be interested in having them on in some capacity. So we can work with anyone with our sort of CPD platform and program we've got in place to work with staff to upskill them. If they've got the basics of being good with children, have good communication skills, and being professional, then we can probably do the rest in-house.
Ed, Dave, thank you. I'll share some details of your organisation with the students as well, and contact details, so they have all of that. But I find that really interesting. I think there's some really key messages for our students. So I appreciate that you've got lots of work to go and do. So we'll finish the call now, but I really appreciate the time that you've given us in the call.
No worries.
Thanks so much.